for Mando kits. Sculpted them out of foam, made a mold, filled that mold with Bondo, cleaned it up, and then took it into the kitchen and started backforming. So, I mean, we have a lot of fun doing it, and like he was saying before, a lot of people come to your groups bringing talents that you don't have. I've learned a lot from a lot of these guys. Matt here is a master of the Sentra. He plastic heated and bent. That's the guy to talk to.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Sentra. Sorry. We use all kinds of different, especially scratch built stuff, like your Stormtrooper stuff. They're all based in pretty much ABS plastic. I like using, we can go kind of like a plastics warehouse is like a hardware store. You need a 4x sheet of plywood, whatever thickness. We go to plastic warehouses and buy a 4x8 sheet of plastic, whatever thickness we need. Different types of plastics we use are ABS, Sentra, and I like polystyrene, but
it's a little more expensive.
But
the rank of that is like basically in terms of like durability is Sentra, high impact polystyrene, and then ABS. You know, because your Sentra is like a foamed extruded PVC material, so it's very lightweight. You can dent it with your fingernail. Sentra is a little bit tougher, and then ABS is styrene is a little tougher. ABS, which is styrene polymer with a rubber component, you're actually able to like flex all the way backwards and it won't break. It'll take multiple flexing to break.
Or fiberglass that
Or
doesn't
fiberglass.
doesn't give at all.
yeah.
Or there's also resin casts. So like fiberglass is a process basically where you've got a glass fiber mat, or it could be a reinforcement even like Kevlar or some kind of mat like that. And then it's impregnated with liquid resin. Usually with fiberglassing, it's the case of a polyester resin versus polyurethane resin. And then like solid resin casting is how sometimes a lot of helmets are made, or like solid props. So like this helmet and this blaster are polyurethane resin, where it's a liquid resin that's poured into the mold and just slushed around until it like covers all the walls. Blasters or objects like that are usually just a straight fill to a mold. So those are basically our different materials. When we start throwing those terms out, Sentra, styrene, ABS, resin, fiberglass.
Mando, you might go metal.
Metal. And
So Brandon, you want to give a little
close some
tap?
stuff together.
It's kind of neat because the Mandalorian stuff is supposed to be metal. It's a
This
carbon.
is made from
Malacate.
This was made from a Chevy, the hood of a Chevy Cobalt that had been wrecked and pulled out. And our guy went, took it, and had, like you said, he print out the different shapes for this, trace it out, and then cuts it, bends it, and all that.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that seems like in the Mando group, especially who come from like the SCA background. A lot of those guys actually know how to like hammer and form and shape metal armor, so they're able to just go and oh yeah, well, this is way simpler than like whatever kind of ornate, crazy, shaped kind of knight chest armor kind of thing. So yeah, a lot of the Mandos have metal armor. I've got a set of aluminum armor that I've got.
I was looking at Jingo's last weekend. It's all aircraft aluminum.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. It's really you're like, wow, this
Down
is
to
so
the,
cool.
And that's sort of our, like how I said earlier, there's a billion ways to skin the cat, right? Like you can go from using Sentra, that you just have heat bent yourself by hand. You could have bought like a vacuum form kit, or you could go and get like metal armor made kind of thing. And it all potentially looks the same. If it's all painted up correctly. You could have plastic, cheapo plastic. If you painted it great, it looks the same as like metal armor that's maybe been scratched and dinged and it's real leather kind of stuff.
Here in a minute, I'll maybe be having mine on. My entire kit is completely Sentra. There's no space on me that's really not armored. It kind of looks like Iron Man. They make jokes about different. I'm sorry. It looks like Optimus Prime. It looks like Optimus Prime. Anyways, but it's completely meta Sentra. But because of the weathering and everything, it actually looks like a metal piece. Because what we use is different paints and whatnot, and we'll kind of paint techniques, making it along the lines where weathering would be naturally occurring.
Yeah. I guess in the couple of we only got a few more minutes here. Might just kind of throw out some general information at you. Like we just did the materials we build stuff out of. Typically, we use a lot of E6000 or some kind of contact adhesive, kind of stuff like that. Super glue, cyanoacrylate. you know, Bondo, sometimes Bondo spot plate, putty, tons of sandpaper, Defcon plastic water. Any of this, a lot of this stuff, or most all of this stuff, you will always want to use in a well-ventilated area. If you're ever sanding, or if you're even painting, you definitely want to wear some kind of breath mask, just because at the very least you're going to get black boogers from spray paint. At the worst, it's like you're going to get friggin' high and a headache from, you know, just the paint fumes and whatnot.
They turn blue from Bondo.
Yeah.
And it makes everything taste really sweet.
You'll want to wear, like, you know, nitrile gloves. Resource-wise, like on the internet where I was talking, you know, we're talking about our websites, the main 501st website is 501st.com. Main Rebel Legion website is
RebelLegion.com.
RebelLegion.com, and then the Mandalorian Mercs is mercs.firespray.net.
Just do MandalorianMerch.com. It'll redirect you to the right site.
But I mean, like, we've got all those websites are on the pamphlets and the materials we have to hand out. Otherwise, other resources that we use a lot of times, there's a main big website called the RPF, or the Replica Props Forums. It's the and then rpf.com. That one is insane for you want to talk about like overwhelming. There's guys on there who are like have tracked down the exact little knob and what it's from that was used on this prop in some like 70s TV show kind of thing. Like there's just this insane level, but it also has stuff like where there's actually people, you'll see forum posts where someone's like, I really like this prop and I was thinking about making it. And suddenly somebody posts, oh yeah, I worked on that movie, I made that prop, here's how I did it kind of thing. Or like, you know, Adam Savage, if you know Mythbusters, he's on the RPF all the time. You know, he'll post up how he does stuff, he'll, you know, collaborate with people for things. So the RPF is a good one. Boba Fett kind of related stuff. There's also the dentedhelmet.com is the website or forums for like Boba Fett. Trying to think of anything else good. Yeah, 100 Layer.
If you like the Predator and alien stuff, thehunterslayer.com.
Yeah, I mean, the magic part of the internet is
It's
more of
always
our
out
community out there for something. If you just search for, you know, some movie, you just do it, you know, type in that movie in like community or forums or something, you're bound to find something. Usually it's all, you know, like we have, you know, we build threads or event listings or stuff like that.
Speaking of internet searches, if you're going to be investing in costumes, please refrain from using eBay.
Yes. Avoid you.
You can sometimes find good little treasures on eBay, but more often than not, they may not add up to being acceptable.
Yeah.
So you could find a complete Stormtrooper kit on eBay, and the person could say, well, this is 501st approved, and yada, 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 and it's probably not.
Yeah.
So please stay away from eBay. You go on these forums and ask questions before you buy anything. Because
We'll point you in the right direction or even tell you where to go. A lot of the garrisons, which is in the Mandalorian Mercs, you've got Mandalorian Mercs, and then there's subsets for like the kind of like local chapters they refer to as clans. On the Rebel Legion, you get Rebel Legion, and you have bases. And then in the 501st, we have the Legion, and we have garrisons. It's just like all our nerdy terminology for our groups. It's basically just that like regional breakdown, you know, kind of like your local regional group. But a lot of like in the 501st, we've got some of the garrisons actually have like a kind of like a mentor program where like sometimes we'll have people like myself who are like assigned as like an advisor to a new person. So like I'd be like that one resource where it's like you can always come to me, you know, and or there's also everyone else can also kind of help or give feedback kind of stuff. So it kind of gives you like a person that can be like your direct kind of help out person. But you know, we'll know like who's the best person to get certain costume parts from, or who's a trustworthy source. I mean, like the community knows, like, you know, if somebody messes up or recasts or is known for ripping somebody off, it spreads very quickly in the community. So we all know that.
And a lot of the sites also have direct links in order to buy particular items. I know the Mercs have, we have our Mandalorian specific armors and helmets and pretty much anything you're looking for.
well, I think
Anything you're looking for in order to purchase it. That includes all the soft goods, anything like that. But in each of these cases, on each website, you'll find something similar to that aspect.
Yeah, there's usually the like wholesale thread, and there'll also be like sometimes there'll be like a list of approved vendors or people who are, you know, specifically selling something. There's also usually a avoid at all costs or ban person or, you know, kind of thing, like where a lot of times forums will have kind of like a blacklist of like.
I just wanted to mention real quick, $5,000 worth of fiberglass. Poster board.
You need something flexible that's highly shiny that we can kind of crumple up and wreck as he moves his neck.
Poster board.
So sometimes you find the cheapest,
Yeah.
strangest things to use.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is like sometimes it's the little crazy cheap oddball solution that solves the problem. You know. That's like a lot of us too, like when I mentioned like, you know, we have the what we call armor bins where we just have like a big Tupperware bin. It's always the funniest thing when we will have spent $5 grand on something or like $500, $800, or $1,000 and you go, man, $50 is a lot for that bin. I just spent $1,000, why not go ahead and spend like $80 on a proper size and heavy duty bin?
Priorities.
Yeah.
You're right.
Well, I think this will end our session, so thank you for attending.
Definitely swing by the fan tables.
Yes,
Check out Speeder Bike.
Oh, and as you see him get suited up, like we were kind of earlier, he said something about the vision, just to give you guys an idea if you've never worn Cummins costumes before. But his vision is basically if you took 2 drinking straws and went through them. Tusken Raiders are basically like going like that. Stormtroopers are pretty much if you put your hand like this in front of your face, anything below your hands you can't see. You know,
We can see pretty well.
Mandos actually have pretty good vision
Mandos and the
because
clones, yeah.
Mandos and clones, we have, it's thin, but you actually have your, pretty much your entire periphery, and then with that middle part, you're actually kind of able to like, look down past your nose. Vader, Vader's the same way where you basically have this. I actually have like the screen mesh, I can kind of look through the screen mesh on the mouth to see like stairs and steps, or like, you know, if a kid comes up and like, you know, hi Vader, I can actually look down, oh, there's a kid in front of me kind of thing. And that's, you'll see it sometimes where it's like, you think, man, the stormtrooper's ignoring that little 5-year-old. It's like sometimes it's like we don't see it. If they sneak up on your periphery and come right up in front of you, it's like I said, this you can't see below, so it's like, oh, there's a little person in front of me. You know? I just stepped on it.
Sometimes, yeah, you accidentally will step on a small child and be able to
Crush them.
And sometimes costumes like that, you know, are not for the claustrophobic. You know?
Yeah.
Especially this one.
Yeah. Some of these costumes are tighter than others, and you know, a lot of times too, with like, you know, I know this is a pretty crowded convention. Conventions like DragonCon, they're just insane on the crowds, and especially like the more popular character you are. Like the clones, I'm able to wander around and you know not usually get too like mobbed, but like when I'm in Vader, because you're like the big cheese guy, or everyone's like knows Vader, that one gets really mobbed in the. And it also depends on events. Sometimes we have events where you know you don't get bothered too much. That Star Wars concert that happened a few years ago, where you know everyone who's going to that is a Star Wars fan, versus like you know even these comic book conventions, there are people here that probably maybe haven't seen Star Wars, don't really care about Star Wars, or maybe more into whatever movie or thing or whatever. That concert was insane because everyone there was a Star Wars fan, and so they were just going nuts on every character.
Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, that is our time.
All right, thank you for attending.
If you want any information, anything else, please feel free to stop by any of our booths. Fiberverse Revolutions, we're located right here in the front of the convention, and then Mercs are towards the back by the DeLorean and Batmobile.
And if anyone wants any type of material, please come down to the front. We'll hand that out to you.